Guys, this is time for a reading section. I'm gonna read this book I just bought yesterday. The Next Conversation by Jefferson Fisher. To increase my vocabulary, also I need to read this out loud. I love the cover. There are 12 chapters I should read. How to be better communication, because I'm not good at communication skill. So let's just start with the prologue. Page 1. The worn-out barber is not barber carpet of the old ranch house fell, scratching on my legs. Wearing an oversized shirt and my Spider-Man underwear, I curled up into a ball in the corner of the main room. My hair and my skin were still wet from my race's unheated shower. I was shivering. I was also grinning ear to ear. 8-year old me wasn't going to miss a thing. Everyone was in the main room. The patriarch of the family was my great grandfather, who was a federal judge. My grandfather, father, first cousins, great uncles, you name it, were all trial lawyers. Every year, the fishermen would get together for an opening weekend hunt in the hill country of West Texas. There were 13 joining in total, and for the first time I made it 14. I felt like I had been called up to the big lodges. Is it a lodge? How to pronounce it? Big lodges. Me finally old enough to go on an 8-hour drive with my dad, listening to James Taylor, Jim Croce, and Jerry Jeff Walker. Me finally old enough to be around the big boys. I hardly spoke a word, mind you, but it didn't matter. I drank IBC root beer and ate more beef jerky than my mama would ever have allowed. The first night was an experience cemented into my memory. As dinner finished, my grandfather put his plant down and scooted to the edge of his couch seat. He began to tell a story, something about his job, a judge, and courthouse. I immediately recognized it as the same story he had told my dad earlier that day while we were fixing an old deer blind. Earlier through the story was more matter of fact. His voice came out plain as he told it while searching for green paint in his trackpad. But this was special. It was the same words, but it was a very different story. I was entranced watching as he stood up to re-neck a skin. He used his hands and face to give texture to his voice. His volume went up to exciting parts, low and slow, and the intense parts. Even his tone changed. Could this be the same story? He captivated the room for nearly 10 minutes. After a long pause, he delivered the punch line and the room filled with laughter. I felt as though I had seen a magic show. The end of the story opened the floor to others as one by one my cousins, dad, and even my great grandfather took turns to courtroom stories of their own. As trial lawyers, they were all wonderful storytellers. The laughter went on for hours into the night. I sat there in the corner, transfixed by every story, every word, with my knees tucked into my sleep shirt. I took it all in until I fell asleep. I was late. My dad carried me off to bed, beef jerky still in my hand. The whole evening for me had been the discovery of something new yet strangely family, as if I had seen it all before. I remember it immediately felt right to me, like a shoe that fit the first time you tried it on. That night, and for the next 10 years of opening weekends, I received my family's inheritance. I passed on identity, dedication to advocacy through storytelling. I realized with each year gone by that law was only the family profession. Communication was the true family passion. Okay, makes sense. To no one's surprise, I wanted to go to law and become a trial lawyer. And after practicing for 10 years, I still don't know for another profession like it. I get hired to handle problems with people I personally don't have problems with. What's more, the opposing party also has their own lawyer who's getting paid to have problems with me. Every day, I go up against people whose primary job is to make sure that I lose. When it comes to a jury trial, the stakes can't be any higher. I communicate and how I communicate and how I teach my client to communicate can mean the difference between recovering their livelihood and losing it forever. Each case is a new lesson, whether I'm deposing witness, crossing examining parties, or giving arguments before a judge or jury. My entire purpose is to run towards conflict. If you're inclined to be that I learned my communication skills in law school, don't. Law school teaches you how to apply the law, principles of contracts, torts, and constitutional law, and state federal rules of procedure, all important, but you won't sit in the class on how to speak to each other with empathy. You won't hear a lesson on how to diffuse a hated argument. Law school teaches you how to read the law. It doesn't teach you how to read people. I had to learn that part myself. Do you like it? My sister Sarah schooled through her persevere as she brought me the fifth round of invisible pancakes. As the oldest of four, I loved being the big brother. By the time I was 13, my bond with my sibling was so strong that they obeyed me almost better than they did my parents. It was like a mother hen wherever we want. And with time I was 16, I was driving them to school while going over their spelling words. To be clear, my parents are loving and wonderful. I was only as good as I was because they poured so much of themselves into me. Those first 4 years before my sister was born, I also just truly enjoyed the responsibility of being the big brother. Being the oldest supposedly leads to more emotional stability, initiative, and the like. But for me, it taught me to hone communication fundamentals at an early age. I quickly learned to acknowledge Sarah by pretending to gobble up the invisible food while smiling and saying, delicious. I found that words of kindness work better at getting her to open up the words of anger. My younger brother, Jonathan, would say my name repeatedly. They called me Booba, a southern term of endearment for the eldest boy, and stammer until he got his sentences out. I learned that if I patiently waited and repeated his word back to him while nodding my head, he felt understood. He also couldn't say his consonants for a long time, only vowels. I naturally became his interpreter, identifying nonverbal mannerisms and foreseeing situations that would frustrate him before they happened. Jacob, my youngest brother, was the most emotionally intense of the three. He felt his emotions big, quickly losing his temper. I figured out that if I slow my words and lower my voice, so would he. I learned to let him feel his feelings without me taking them personally. That sometimes a hug said more than any words I could say. Its siblings had a unique personality that took a special approach, a special touch to connect with them on a deeper level. One of the most critical skills that I developed as the oldest was my ability to mediate and resolve conflict. If two of my siblings began arguing over our sister Polly Pocket, I would quickly stop the yelling, have them each give their side of the story, and then make the judge call on whose turn it was and what the compromise would be. And it worked. I become proficient at teaching my siblings how to communicate their needs and understand their need of the another, serving as the role model for communication between my siblings was daily life. Now married with two kids, it's still daily life. I've been the communicator in every phase, every relationship, every friends group. Maybe you think it's just a connect for talking. I know it to be something more. Every night as I was growing up, my dad sat on the edge of my bed, lean it over, and whispered, "Dear God, give Jefferson wisdom and always be his friend." I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe that without my parents' prayer, you wouldn't be reading this book. In 2020, I made partner at a prestigious defense firm, but despite this achievement, I was professionally depressed. I always came back to the same metaphor. I felt like I was running with parakeet. I was building and working cases, yes, but creatively, I was getting nowhere. To make things harder, my dad worked at the same firm. When I first told him I had thoughts of going off on my own, let's just say it didn't go well. Honestly, it didn't go well for the next 20 conversation, and even up to when I announced it to the firm. He fought me to say those were hard talks. I did two things in January 2022 that would change everything. First, I opened my own law Fisher firm handling personal injury cases. I didn't have an office or an assistant. Heck, I didn't even have a printer. I served coffee shop with my laptop and borrowed friends' empty office. I quickly signed up the clients, and man, did it feel amazing. I got to help real people with real problems. I cut the parakeet and I was finally making up group. Second, I made my first social media post giving communication advice. Originally, I wanted to use it to generate leads. I saw so many lawyers posting on social media doing the only thing they knew, selling. They saw it as the new billboard frontier, telling people what to do and who to call after an accident. I even tried some of it myself, but afterward, it just didn't feel right. My mind flashed to those other niece whose face are splatters on billboards seen holding hammers, apa ini, flamet wait flamethrowers and boxing gloves, saying out outrageous things like, "Have you been injured? I'm in the Texas cheese graders. Call me and get the cheater now." Blef. As I said, blef. I shooter. Oh my god, I don't know how to pronounce it. I can't stand that stuff. Most of all, that wasn't me. I chose a different path. Instead of selling myself, I would provide value for free. Not about what would benefit me, but about what would benefit other people. And this time I would do it being authentically me, the person I've been all along, Jefferson. How could I truly help people? It need it needed to be something relatable, a message of light and a good into people's homes and workplace. My mind flashes back to my parents' questions to me whenever I didn't know what to say to someone. Well, what do you want them to know? The answer hit me like a tons of bricks. I tell them what I know better than anyone else I knew. I would help them learn how to communicate. I didn't have a cool deck setup or a studio to record in with a fancy camera, but I had my truck and my phone that have to do. I turned my phone selfie style and press record. I decided on the fly that it would be how to argue like a lawyer part one. And that I boiled it down to three easy points in in the first in the front seat of my empty trunk. I talked to the screen of my phone about how to keep your questions shorter, how to be less emotionally reactive, and how to much cursing was like over seasoning your food. I ran across something previously that said that a video needed to have a call to action. So at the end of the video, I said, try that and follow me. For the whatever reason, I couldn't tell you why. I put my hand up to my mouth at the last second. When I said I decided to roll with it, I took a big grab and posted the 47-second clip to social media. I didn't expect everything to happen. So far, all of my video had zero views. In fact, I even Googled why do my video have zero views and how do I make a reel? What happened next was nothing I was prepared for. After an hour passed, my how to argue video started ramping up in viewers, quickly reaching into thousands. The next day was in a million. I didn't realize, of course, that it would also mean that millions of people would see my daughter's pink car seat and my son's um, sip high cup in the back, along with my toddler's fashion choice and instructed polo with a sweet jacket. Who gets dressed thinking they are going to be seen by millions of people that day? People didn't seem to care. It was where I was in my life. It made them feel like I was speaking directly to them with no upsell, no gimmicks. It was real. What do I do now? I asked my friend. She replied, you make more. So I did. The year, I get more than 5 million social media followers, including hundreds of celebrities and public figures, all while using my iPhone from my driver's seat to give communication advice. Always the same way, alone in my car, whatever I could park between leaving the law firm and arriving home. Never scripted. I always posted on the same day that I filmed. No video editor, no fancy graphic or trendy caption. Just me holding my phone and being myself. And despite doing everything alone in my car, I soon found myself in front of thousands of real people giving keynotes at conference and speaking to organizations asking to learn from my communication techniques. I even spoke at NASA. Every time I spoke, all I could think, what are all y'all doing here? I reached 250,000 million email subscriber wanting my weekly communication tip. And I signed a book deal with Penguin Random House to start writing the book you're holding now. I launched the Jefferson Fisher podcast, which shot straight to the top of the charts and is the number one communication podcast in the world. I've also grown an amazing online community filled with research and classes that equip people with practical way to improve their communication. My video have received over 500 million viewers across all platforms. I'm blessed and humbled to have received some of the kindness, most thoughtful daily message of thanks and gratitude. I can't believe I get to help other on this way, much less than I typing these words. I still practice law every day, now helping people from all over the US with their personal injuries and connecting them to attorneys I trust. Still record a short video every day. I still try that and follow me. Millions have tried and follow me. I said that from a deep place of gratitude. I never dreamed this is where I would go, but in dreams it didn't stop there. 5 months after I opened Fisher Firm, my dad left his firm of 35 years to join me, his son, for no reason than simply for us to practice law together. You still got room for me for the old man? He asked with a smile. I was speechless. There was nothing I could ever wanted more. My eyes still well up with happy tears now as I write about it. Wow. I stop it with by prologue. Tomorrow I'm going to reading introduction. So this is the first time I read this book, so I need more times to reading because there are much vocabulary, new words that I don't know. I need to read them 3 times more.